from me, Romy Stach, and welcome to Derech Eretz, the way of the world. In today's show, Dr. Jonathan Moch explores how to live an authentic life. Phyllis Klotz shares her life in community theatre, and we meet centenarian Dr. Denzil Levy. Dr. Alison Gopnik, professor of psychology at the University of California, wrote, "Life history is an important idea on evolution, especially human evolution, but it also gives us a richer way of thinking about our own lives. Human being isn't just a collection of fixed traits, but part of an unfolding and dynamic story." Dr. Jonathan Moch elaborates further on the concept of longevity and living an authentic life.
I like to look at this question of longevity, which is probably the greatest advance in medical science in the last 100 years, at least collectively, that people are living longer and perhaps better. Many people 100 years ago, the average lifespan was 55, 60 years. It's gone up to 85, 90. And there's a very interesting question associated with this. Is longevity going to be a blessing or a curse? It's a very good question, that. We might be living longer, but is it going to be a life of pain, anxiety, depression, suffering? Or can we actually choose to live a good life? A good life after 60, 65. The Bible, at the end, Moses, just before he passes away, says to the people, I present before you, or what God presents before you is life or death, a blessing or a curse. And God says, actually, choose life. So in that is the thread of free will. Can we choose life or death, blessing or curse? And that's, I think, one of the most essential questions that we as human beings have to actually ask. How do we live a good life, a better life, a more flourishing life? I'm really interested in a program being done at Harvard now called Authentic Leadership. And this has been running for about 10 years and about 10,000 students, serious, cleverly students and executives, and finding what they call your true north. And how to find that. That's your compass, really, that will guide you through life. And I didn't quite understand it, because I've always said, you know, what was, just move on. And what they're finding is that the essential question you need to ask is about your life story, and actually document that. Whatever you do, from birth until where you are now. And what I did is I tried it. I tried it, and I found that it was actually a brilliant exercise. I had a blank page, and at the bottom was when I was born to where I'm now, which is quite a few years. And I just put in dates along the way, and I noticed that, like in 1986, I made major decisions. 3 major decisions, which actually fits into the third part of the cycle that we read every year. It's called Lech Lecha, when Abraham is told to go to yourself. And this going to yourself is really, who are you and what have you done? And that to me was quite profound. The good times and the bad times, where I lost the way and where I had major trials. And we all have trials, we all have difficult times. But what the Harvard School is saying, that to be authentic, to live long life well, authentically, you have to link it with your life story. Not the life story of someone else, but your own life story. And that gives you authenticity, because that's you. You're not someone else. And I think that this is a trick, especially for people in their 50s and their 60s that are going to live longer. it's a good idea to take maybe a half an hour, an evening, a day, or 2 days, and just write out your life story from when you were born to where you are now, and look at that and see the patterns that emerge from that, because that is where your authentic life is, and that's your foundation for your future.
Phyllis Klotz is currently the Artistic Director of the Sibikwa Arts Centre, which she co-founded with Smel Ndaba over 21 years ago. Recognised as an expert in the development of community art centres, Phyllis has been instrumental in formulating education and training programs by sharing her knowledge and expertise with the younger generation.
I grew up in Sea Point, went to school in Sea Point, come from a very Jewish, culturally orientated family. We're not religious, but I feel a great affinity and depth in the marrow of my bones for my cultural affinity to Judaism, and was always encouraged to be in the art world. It was never a question. Then went to UCT and studied drama, and did a bit of drama teaching, and in the 70s started to go into the township with arts in education program. And a lot of people were leaving, and we were not leaving, we were staying. And I thought, well, if I'm staying, what is it that I can do to create a society in which I would be happy to live in? So using the theatre to educate, which I still do, and develop communities, not only theatre, dance, music. That's what I've been doing since '76. Smel Ndaba showed me a script of a play that he had written about teenage pregnancy. And that was during the height of the state of emergency. And one of the girls had a child with a white soldier and had to endure terrible anger and from her community. And I just thought, you know, this is really interesting that a black man would write a play such as this during this time.
I would come up with an idea, and then from there she'll look at the audience. She'll be able to change everything to suit, because otherwise it won't be accepted by that kind of audience, like the market theatre and all this. But then she brings it up to the standard. Artistically, it works, yeah, which is very, very important. If I had gone on alone, it wouldn't have gone as far as, it went, like playing in the township, from there, Grahamstown, America.
And then we did another play, and that gained recognition, and another play, and we toured a great deal. But always we educated, always we trained, vocational training, and always we used the theatre to support education in the schools.
I've been here for a year. This is my second year, and I've learned a lot, especially in drama. I've learned how to not to be shy. I've learned how to project whenever I'm on stage. I've also learned a lot of things when it comes to script writing and script reading.
We come here every Saturday from 8 to 5. And Phyllis and Brasmo are good people because they've given us the opportunity to make our dreams come true and learn how to perfect our crafts. Because in the location where we stay, we don't have art centers. So when we come here, it's a happy place. And sometimes they're a bit pushy, but they're motivating and inspiring us to do better every Saturday.
The group that's doing the marimba is an out-of-school, out-of-work youth group. We are particularly concerned with that age group, and particularly concerned with young people who are out of school and sitting at home doing nothing all day. The recipe for mischief, a recipe for drug abuse, a recipe for teenage pregnancy. So we try and focus on them. If we had more money and more funds, I would like to hold a program for them where they develop a play with music and dance. But unfortunately, it's not available to us at the moment because they need to be occupied. They need to be occupied and have a focus and something that means something to them in their lives.
Phyllis and Prasmol, I learn a lot because since I'm here at Sibikwa, I can choreograph, dance, I can direct a drama lesson, I can teach, yeah.
Praiz introduced me to marimba, and then the Tapelo Kotolo introduced me to dance. That's where I started falling in love with marimba, drumming, and dance.
Not everyone can be an actor or a dancer or a musician. The talented pool very small and the job opportunities smaller still. So we encourage people to have other strings to their bow. We encourage them to be facilitators, and we run an accredited facilitators course here. We encourage them to do whatever work they want to do. If you do a learnership at Sibikwa and I meet you 4 years down the line and you tell me I've got a job in the bank, I'm very happy because we've empowered you. We've taught you to communicate. You've got a job. You're supporting your family. It's a reasonable job, a skilled job. That's what we're about. The arts, yes, great. If you're that talented and that tenacious and you can continue, fine, we're very happy. We're happy to see our ex-students' names up in lights.
When I look around and see, not exactly that people that we've been working with are successful, but that's that people have seen the other side of life. You know, it's like kids when they come here on the Saturday Arts. It's not that they're going to be successful in life, but then you find that they are able to deal with people properly. You know, even at school, you find that the attitude changes. The teachers send us letters. The child has changed because he's able now to focus. Little things like focusing, concentration, and all that they learn from here.
Prasmol, umuntu ohleksayo. Yeah, every time mosebenza nayo, umuntu like osebenzayo, and then ufuna ukubona like ukhula is like njengo Phyllis, akafuna like standard sakho like ever since like ufike la Sibikwa and the standard is the same. Like ufuna ukubona like ukhula like nge performance, and then moya kwenye indawo, and then babona ukuthi okay lo muntu lo ubuye Sibikwa, and then like Sibikwa basebenza so into ezinjalo.
I look up to Phyllis, I look up to Prasmol because they are people who inspire me a lot because of when I see them and I see their work, I see that they've worked so hard to come where they are right now.
My grandfather was a communist and he came from Lithuania, and when I was about 10, 11, he gave me Trevor Huddleston's book, Note for Your Comfort, to read. I suppose it's the environment. My mother was always doing charity work, and that's how I grew up. Social issues, I suppose I'm on a mission. I believe the theatre can highlight wrongs and encourage people to right those wrongs. I firmly believe that. Maybe not everybody, but if you can encourage one person in an audience, you've done something.
She's a very nice person. She doesn't take, I mean, one has not to take her for granted. You've got to be clear when you've got to be straightforward and all that, because once she realizes that there's something wrong, something that she doesn't like, she really coughs it out, and then that causes some kind of fight. But then if you're open and, you know, say whatever you want to say, he's a very nice person to work with. So all the time one has got to be honest, really.
For me, Derech Eretz means following your true path, being true to yourself, doing what you believe is morally right, trying your best to keep on that path as best as you can, whenever you can.
Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz.
Port Elizabeth-born Dr. Denzil Levy was a leading architect in his day and a highly respected patron of the arts. He turned 100 years old this year. Always impeccably dressed and articulate, Dr. Levy's record of communal achievements and lifelong service to his fellow man has been widely acknowledged in both the Jewish world and the broader community.
I was born in Port Elizabeth on 28th of June 1917. My father was the spiritual head of the Port Elizabeth Hebrew congregation. He came to Port Elizabeth in 1913, and I owe everything to my father, because my father was a brilliant man. I mean, very, very well read. Also, my whole attitude towards life comes from my father. I know for 27 years he was the chairman of the museum in Snake Park, because I became eventually a member of the board, and that's when they told me that he had been there for 27 years. And he was also the chairman of the obstetric committee. He was the chairman of the school board, actually, and the board of education. And I believe that I've got to give service, and I've taken a terrific part in public life, both within the Jewish community and also in the wider community.
Denzil is very Jewish, and he is in more senses than the religious one. Every fibre of his is part community and Jewish, but not only in an emotional way, I think in a very intellectual way too.
I have known Dr. Denzil Levy for many years. He has always been, in my mind, the absolute leader, not only of the Jewish community, but a leader in the field of arts and culture in the city. He's an absolute example to everybody, both of his wonderful integrity, statesmanship, honesty, and example to all.
In my day, as far as I was aware, he was the architect in Port Elizabeth. I'm sure he designed his own home. He certainly designed our home. When we left our home, we went into a block of flats, which he had designed. My father had a furniture shop. One of the branches he redid, Denzil designed. You wouldn't go to anybody else but Denzil. And his board was up everywhere. I used to feel quite proud about that too. I
was the architect for the City Engineers Block, City and the Treasurers Block, and also with South Foster, with Mr. Phillip. When the City Hall burned down, we were joint architects, and then we were also joint architects when we built the Supreme Court. And that's when I had to retire from the Regional Board of the Allied Building Society the month you turned 70.
He was responsible for the design and construction of the synagogue and the hall, which is called the Abraham Levy Centre after his late father. And in 1997, he was given the Ivan Sackheim Award for his contribution to Jewish affairs in South Africa.
On a Friday night when we'd come back from shul, there's a blessing that he would do on his daughters, and he would include me and do it on me too. I can still visualize he's laying his hands on my head. That's another sort of fond memory. You know, he used to be the choir leader, and just sitting in shul opposite the choir in the front row, seeing his back. My brother was in the choir during his youth. Oh, he loved song.
My father was a very musical man, actually. If you had to sing a song to him, he would be able to remember it and go to the piano and play it straight away. And And our whole family has all been very musical. I started singing. I had a very fine soprano voice, and I started singing them in the adult choir when I was a boy of 10. And I then sang for 42 years, and I conducted the choir. My choir consisted of 27 men and young children. So I played my part, and I've been on the executive of the shul since about 1970. I think I joined from about 1968. I became a member of the council. That's when I retired as the conductor of the shul choir.
Denzil turned 100 on the 28th of June, and it was an occasion which he had looked forward to for many, many years. The community gave him a birthday party at which there were certain speeches delivered and tributes were paid to him. But he was also graced by the presence of 18 members of the Port Elizabeth Philharmonic Orchestra, which he was not aware of their presence. And when the curtains on the stage opened and they played Happy Birthday to him, he was absolutely aghast with surprise and delight, and this was really a wonderful occasion.
You want to know the secret? I'll tell you. First of all, colossal faith. That's what I've got. And I say that the Almighty's been very, very good to me. He listens to my prayers. That's the faith. The second of all, which is eat moderately, drink moderately, exercise your body and your mind, and that is the reason for longevity. I take those 5 points.
I've learned from him that dignity is at all times the way to go, and not only dignity, but a clear manner of thought and a clear manner of expression has served me in good stead over many years. Denzil's Derech Eretz is reflected in his warmth, in his kindness, and in his caring for personalities not only less fortunate than himself, but personalities to whom he can extend some form of friendliness and of gentleness in attitude, and they can benefit from it.
In Deuteronomy 32 verse 7 it states, "Ask your father and he will tell you, your elders and they shall instruct you." If you have missed any of our past episodes of Derech Eretz, you will be able to watch them on our Derech Eretz Connect YouTube channel. From me, Romy Stach and the Derech Eretz team, remember to take a moment and reflect on the lessons you have gained from a lifetime of experience and learning.